got two boxes plus the workshop, and I'm probably more from like the Mick thing of like chucking shit in a box, but with maybe a little bit more neatness than like it just being chucked in a box.
I would say a lot more neatness.
But then I just bought an Abbey box. But so this is the original toolbox when I started at SRAM, and this is a Nipex box. So much the same as the Pelican case, but there's just spots you can put everything, but it's not like the foam cutout thing, right? So like, I think, you got 3 different levels of box, right? You got those beginner boxes, and I think like Park Tool stuff's really good for that. Like, it's a really good place to start. They do like some nice basic ones, not like the whole big box. And then I think this is kind of like the next level. And to be honest, like I still kind of prefer this box in a lot of ways for everything. Like everything's in this. Like I have brake bleed kit, full rear shock, like pencil case full of stuff, everything. Whereas like the Abbey box, which I love, doesn't have like everything. And then you kind of like locked in to like where the shit is. Like I've added spaces into this, but like I'm going to have a second box for like rear shocks and forks. So yeah, I'm definitely, don't get preoccupied with thinking you need to have the fancy box to be a mechanic. Just go get the Pelican case and whack the tools in. And then that's going to mean you can go ride your bike faster. Like go and do that. Like that's kind of why I want to do these out. Like these things look cool and they look great on Instagram, but like at the end of the day, a 5mm is going to do the exact same job as any other fucking 5mm for the most part, unless it's like really shit 5mm. But like, I wouldn't worry too much about the box and the foam and the cutouts. Buy some nice quality tools. Like, doesn't have to be Abbey, but like buy nice quality, whether it be Wera, Allen keys or whatever. Have a good quality tool. And if you don't have the money or the time or the patience to do the foam stuff, don't fucking worry about it. Just get a nice box. I recommend that Nipex one because there's places for stuff so it doesn't get damaged. And off you go. Like, at the end of the day, I know a lot of people with really neat toolboxes and they're fucking shit mechanics. I also know really good mechanics who have nice neat boxes. And I know really good mechanics who have boxes they chuck stuff in, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter what box you have, but there are some good solutions out there.
Yeah, I like your point about good quality tools. And I think that's really important too. Like, yeah, I think good quality tools is probably the most important thing over how good the box is. Like, don't get me wrong, good box is great. 100%. But even for instance, like that bleed bucket that Kilsby made me, I really appreciate that because I know, like I was saying, I don't have the most organized box and maybe it's part of my fault. But the point is I can take my bleed kit kind of anywhere with me because I know the bucket's not going to get fucking squished. Because, for those that don't notice, it's like a milled or lathe bleed bucket. It's really nice. It's just simple shit like that. I get a lot out of.
Like your brand wise, like Nipex. If you're getting cutters or pliers, Nipex is the way to go. 100%. Like you'll never get anything better than the Jesus pliers, which are these puppies.
Yes. Yeah.
Those things are sick, and like you can forego buying a whole spanner set really if you're careful with that, and that's like I think $250 ish, like retail. But like you don't have to buy like a 6mm spanner up to that does a reverb collar at max. Yeah. So like that'll save you over buying a whole bunch of spanners if you need to. If it's specialty tool stuff, like Abbey's good, but like there's some stuff you don't need, and like Pat's gonna hate me say that, but like this pedal wrench, I use that all the time, and this one's actually my old one that I put in the new box. I've had that for 5 years. Awesome for events because like you've got everyone who has every brand of pedal, and you're like, I'll just put one thing. But like at the end of the day, it's just a 15mm spanner, a 6mm, and 8mm. But then things like the hanger tool, like that's definitely worth investing in an Abbey one, like or Unua I think is pretty good as well. I wouldn't really bother with the Park. The Park one's going to eat a bag. Having used them a lot, that's not just like being pretentious. But like cassette tool and chain whip, you could probably use any brand for that. The chain breaker is good, but possibly if I do SRAM stuff all the time, so that's worth it to go Abbey because it does the axis chains properly.
Yeah, true.
You need to be careful because a lot of them don't. But then I don't know, like I've got a really good tool guy in the city And like nothing else I really have any brand allegiance to. I'm just like, hey, I need this. What do you recommend? He's like, yeah, this is cool. We got some nice little diamond files. I'm like, what do you recommend? He's like, just the cheap ones because you like they'll wear out. Like, cool noise. You know, like you don't need a lot of that stuff. A good pipe cutter, I think, is worth it over a hacksaw. Like go buy, and I've got a really nice Milwaukee pipe cutter. I think they're worth it if you just work on mountain bikes. If you use pro bikes, you need a hacksaw. And I've got one of those burring tools.
Yeah, those things are sick. Yep.
Those things are sick. So with that, if you're going to buy one of those, you don't need it. You can use a file. But if you're going to buy that, I got mine from Amazon. It was $68 and it was like 2 months freight. And it was like half the price of anything in Australia, which was good. If you're going to do the foam thing, the foam, I had a lot of people ask when I did my toolboxes in the workshop, it's Kaizen foam is the brand.
Yeah.
So it's a layered foam. It's the same foam that's in this. And this is why you can add like cuts and stuff into it. So like, what have I added onto this level? So like my pick that's there, I've just added in. So you just outline the foam and it's layered. So you outline it, cut in, and then you just peel it out. Really quick and easy. Whereas I've seen a lot of people use like other foams, like those tiles and stuff for the ground. And like, I have no idea how you cut that out unless there's a base on it. There's no base on this. You just outline and off you go. I got mine from a woodworking place locally-ish in COVID. And just make sure you buy their Stanley knife because their Stanley knife cuts the best.
Yeah, okay.
Pelican boxes are good. Nipex boxes are good. This is a Pelican in the Abbey box. If you're looking for a set that does everything and you don't have tools already, like the Abbey tool set's like $3,000, maybe a bit more. But if you actually break down everything you buy,
it's ridiculous.
It's really worth it. Like I think the Hag there is like 500 bones by itself. But it's all there and like ready to go, which is sick. I think at the end of the day, like if you don't have the money, don't worry about the box. Just go buy a shitty toolbox from Bunnings. Like even like, like the kid ones, which are like long and like skinny, and just go buy like good Allen keys. Like I would recommend Wera. Silka stuff's really good for Allen keys. Good hanger tool. Good bleed kit is a big one. SRAM for SRAM. Shimano for Shimano. Jaguar make good ones too. Jaguar makes everyone's bleed kits anyway. A good ratchet.
Yeah.
Good ratchet's a massive one. Snap-on's good. Wera's good. I don't know what the hell my one was actually. I bought this online like in COVID because I couldn't get anything. Action. It's black and it's cool. It's little. Which is sick. And then some Nipex stuff. Anything else? It's like a good pick. A good metal pick's good. Sharpen one of those out from a spoke. If not EVT, make a nice pre-made one.
Dentist picks on Amazon are the best.
Yeah.
$30.
And I reckon that's about it with the toolbox thing. So just don't think you have to get fancy. And like, I feel like a dick buying the fancy toolbox. So I've always been like, I don't need the fancy toolbox kind of guy. Like I usually run a tool wrap. I love a tool wrap. But it's just kind of handy. It's all there. That being said, that doesn't mean I'm neat when I'm working on bikes. It means everything is still everywhere. It's a brothel on the table. I just have somewhere to put the stuff back to when I know I haven't lost it.
That actually kind of blew me away when I saw you working at Nationals or at other things. Like his stuff's all neat when it's on Instagram, but then like you look at the bench and there's shit everywhere.
I've always been when I'm working on shit, like I've always been so messy. And like the only thing I can say to that is I just clean up after every job. You know, so you don't leave like a brass key out of a reverb and the main piston out of a air shock. You know what I mean? Like I just neaten up at the end, but I've never been neat when I'm working on shit. You know what I mean? And if anyone's ever seen any videos or photos I put up when I'm working on shit, there's shit everywhere. Like I wish I could be neat when I'm working on stuff, but I kind of just get that stuck into it that I just clean up after. So that's why I don't mind the foam stuff for after, because I make sure it's neat after. Yeah.
We had a question from, I think it's Jorge Barb or Jorga Barb, but what would you consider when you're building your own toolbox? So when you're building that, say when you've got a roll or that phone box, or whether you're just throwing it in like Mick or the tool trays, like was there anything you considered around that when you're building your custom one?
Firstly, actually, just one sec. Also, instead of a toolbox, tool wraps are sick. And the tool wrap I have is from Outdoor Extremes, and it's $35 from WA, which is awesome. Really cheap. What do I consider? The Abbey one, I kind of wanted something neat, and I had my Nipex box for 5 years and just wanted a bit of a change, but I wanted something I could take to road events. It looked a bit neater. I think with any box, you still need the freedom to customize it. And whether that be just having a big enough box, you have space to add stuff, or something like the Abbey one where you can have the bottom layer, you can do what you want. I think that's really key. Just make sure you have room to grow in whatever box that you have. Don't buy something good enough for now, because everything you need will change.
How about you, Mick? Was there anything you considered, or you just like, I just want to throw all my shit in and leave?
Multifaceted question, I guess. Like I'll be the first. Like, I'm obviously a consumer of bike products. Like I ride a lot, and I've always ridden a lot. And obviously make bike products, but I'm not a bike mechanic. Like, I'll be the first to say, like, I'm not a bike mechanic. I have worked on my own bikes a lot. But I guess if people want design, want inspiration on the best bike workshop and that type of stuff, I'm humble enough to say I'm probably not the best person to ask. But for me personally, probably because it's a second Lachy's point. Like, I'm not the cleanest person. I like things really clean. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I like things really orderly and whatever. And probably the reason why I fantasize about the idea of having things really orderly is because I'm not really orderly. So it's like the grass is always greener type thing. So my default has always been to kind of have a relatively large toolbox and just chuck a whole heap of shit in, and I guess out of trial and error, work out what I need and what I don't need. And yeah, my toolbox hasn't really changed that much. I guess the biggest change it would have done is when I started racing mountain bikes compared to BMX, because BMX you don't need anything really. Like my BMX toolbox was tiny. But yeah, I don't know. Like I do have two of quite a few things. So like, for example, I have two shock pumps. So one shock pump lives in the toolbox that I take to the races and take training and whatever. One shock pump lives in the workshop. Same as tire gauges. Like, I have two tire gauges, same thing. I have two bleed kits as well for the same reason. Even Allen keys. Like, I have two sets, mainly because like when I want to reserve the riding toolbox for riding and the work tools for work tools. The other other than getting them lost and confused and that, the other thing too is like the working tools, like the ones you take to the races and whatever, get flogged out pretty quick comparatively. Like, they're sitting in the mud and shit like that. And I don't really want to get the workshop tools all jacked up. So I guess that's the only thing other than what Lachy's already covered that I personally do. And again, probably because I'm not the most orderly person. If I only had one set of everything, I'd be losing everything every single day. So having two of everything means I've most likely got something at all times. But yeah, I've just kind of been, chucking in my Pelican case. I like Lachy's point about having sort of room to grow. I certainly, like, as an example, like when I went down to national champs at Medina, I wanted to take more than just my Pelican case box, because I wanted to take some spare springs and shit like that, because I wanted to test a bunch of stuff. And instead of packing kind of like a proprietary like toolbox, again, for the reason of losing shit, I literally, like, I've got like wheel out cabinets here in the workshop, wheel out steel cabinets. And I was just like, it's kind of a luxury of having a ute, I guess. But I was like, fuck this, I'm just taking my whole cabinet. So I had so much fucking room. But dude, like a little bit off topic, but it was so good because like if I swapped out springs or whatever, like I had a drawer that I could just have springs in. Like
That's a dream, eh?
Just a cabinet. Yeah.
Well, wait. So I even took a set of different offset clamps as an example. Like it got a little bit stupid, but I just had them sitting there. Like I was like, oh, I've got the room. I'll just chuck in the whole cabinet. And a little bit off topic, but it got me out of trouble real good because I actually had a car breakdown there. Ronan Burke, I should probably thank publicly for sticking by me. But I had a car breakdown, but because I had the whole cabinet chest, I had parts to fix the car. How bloody good.
So Mick's note, literally take the kitchen sink.
Next minute we rock up to a race and people are in their utes and they've just got a whole workshop just set up in the back there.
Honestly, if you've got the room, I recommend it. It's always better to be over prepared than under.
With the whole space to move thing, like that's the biggest thing I experienced. And I remember Dylan told me it from Strand. I was going to a road event and I was like, oh, I'll ditch a bunch of stuff. He's like, don't ditch any of the shit out of there. Like I'm ditching suspension stuff. He's like, because you'll get someone come in with some weird issue that you'll need that tool. You know what I mean?
Yes,
you don't have the room to grow. Yeah, you're always going to ditch the stuff you need. Like what was the one the other day? Oh, when I was in Tassie, like the old school, not old school, but like the chainring bolt backing things, like what's the word for it? Like the little line tool.
Yeah.
And I was like, someone was like, oh, I need to tighten my chainring. And I was like, oh, look what I've got in here. It's sat in my toolbox for 6 years and I've never touched the thing because obviously the Strand chain rings are a 5 and a 6. But if you didn't have the room to move, I would have fucked that thing off years ago, but then you kind of have it.
So on that very topic of that exact tool, I was fucking pissed a few years ago because it was actually while I was at uni, but I had a little toolbox. I actually think it was my brother's toolbox when we were kids, but I had this little toolbox and it was perfect. It was just like geometrically, it was just the perfect size for tools. It wasn't too big, wasn't too small. And I actually ended up getting it stolen while I was at uni. Don't know who took it, whatever, but it got jacked. But it was one of those things like you don't know what tools you need until you need them. Because I remember the thing I was most pissed off about, like I knew the obvious things, like obviously, like Torx wrenches, Allen keys, whatever. I was like, all right, I've got to go buy new ones of them. But the chainring tool, Lachy, I remember distinctly because like I'd only bought one a couple of months before the toolbox got jacked. And I was at the track, whether it be a race, I can't remember, but I was at the track and I needed that tool and I went to the new toolbox, started shuffling through stuff and I was like, oh, you're kidding. That would have been one of the things that got jacked. And it's like, you never know which tool you need until you need it. Yeah.
I was trying to find a picture of that, my old toolbox, which I stole from Barlin actually, but my old one was very similar to Aaron's, which was like the drawers.
Yeah. Yep.
And then like there's a top part and then the drawers and there's bars that stop the drawers. And I think that thing was like $100, $150. Like they're a good one too. It's an interim mix really between the cabinet and the toolbox.
Okay.
And his is like it's like a carbonate plastic, like a high density plastic.
Oh, really?
So it weighs like sweet fuck all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sick.
But it's
mine
real
was like
strong.
metal, but it was sick. I think I went overseas with it, but all the nationals I did with, I was working for Specialized. It's good.
Yeah, his is real cool.
I think something funny that I saw the other day, and it's kind of been a colloquial term between us now, but a little bit probably far-fetched for a bike race, but Nigel, like Engineer to Slide Nigel, who's part of Trinity, he he did World Time Attack in Sydney. I can't remember what went wrong now.
I watched all that. I know nothing about cars, but I know the thing.
Yeah, I can't remember what
like
actually
flywheel
went.
or some wheel thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like because he fashioned up a dry sump to it, so it had an extra belt driving. I think it was something with that might have gone. But in any case, needed to lathe something up and end up finding a lathe, whatever. But what's become a colloquial term is he he chucked in the Dremel from home, like with the different end bits and whatever. And like he's in the front of the car dremeling out metal. And the term that he put on the story was like, you'll never know when you need the track lathe. And I'm like, the track lathe is just the funniest colloquial thing. I feel like taking a Dremel to mountain bike races just so I can send him a picture and go, yeah, I've got the track lathe.
I've taken it to the last like 2 races I've been to, and it's the best. I haven't needed to use it, but like I've had it there, which is awesome. Like
I don't feel like such a dickhead then.
No, like I'm honestly like my power tools are coming with me to every race now that I go to, like that I'm driving to. Like you just
hilarious.
Need to do it, man. Like same with the other tool I always take now is bearing extractors for fucking Timmy Eaton. Like I remember at February of the year, it was like trying to get a bearing out. I think he started it, and then like the bearings were just fucked. The inner race came out, and it was just the outer race sitting in the frame. And I went and bought one of those Willows manufacturers, like the extractors. And I'm like, now that goes with me every time I know Tim's at the race. I'm taking that fucking tool. Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah.
But Tim Eaton problem.